Good morning, day 2 of the conference. I woke up with a horrible migraine, felt sick, felt nauseous. Guess just another day in the life of me. Feeling a little bit better now. I want to show you guys the sunrise because we had a pretty spectacular sunrise. I did miss it because I woke up a little late. You can see the fog on the lake. It's very pretty. Looks pretty dang good, so let's turn the camera around. It's gonna be hard to see, but come over here, step on some crunchy grass. I'm gonna take a picture rather than video, so stay tuned for that. But yes, it's a very pretty morning. I gotta head inside of the convention center. They're having breakfast. Hopefully having some food makes me feel a little bit better, and I'll get on to editing some of the shots from the night before. It is super duper cold. My hands are actually like super cold right now, so I'm gonna put them in my pockets and get going.
Graphic technique of taking a sequence of frames at set intervals to record changes that take place slowly over time, and then when the frames are shown at normal speed or in quick succession, the action seems much faster. We're going to see it.
So that was Vincent Ledvina. He is a Churchill-based Aurora photographer, and his time lapses are incredible. So make sure you go support him on Facebook and Instagram. Up next, we actually have Christian Harris. He is doing a deep sky presentation here, and he also has a degree in space weather forecasting and some other really cool stuff. And this is him and his work here. He's getting it ready. And yeah, we're really excited for this.
As long as you have a camera, that's going to be the important part. The lenses are going to be a huge factor in what you're trying to go after. A lot of what I wanted to do with my deep sky objects was essentially the wide stuff. So just enough so that you have an idea as to what they are and what they tell particles to do. We're going to go over the actual structure of what a coronal mass ejection is. So I know most of you have heard the term CME, but we're going to actually define what that looks like, what the parts are. We're going to also be able to look at the...
And I've been doing it since 16. My first aurora I ever saw was in 2003, the Halloween storms. And this talk is going to be focused on, answering the question, when will the aurora be out? And that's a hard question to answer, right? I mean, how do you approach that? So my goal today is to not necessarily explain everything, but give you a lot of the tools necessary to, kind of forecast the aurora, if you can even forecast the aurora. We're going to be talking about that. Is how much forecasting can you really do? So.
Oh my gosh, the sun is rising.
A group of over 90,000 members. There's one of our admins right there, Patrick Gerba. Many of whom are at this table. We're going to do a panel completely dedicated to aurora forecasting. So I think I'll start out by letting the panelists introduce themselves down the line. Maybe specific to how do you know how to go see aurora, or how successful are you? Just tell us who you are, and have you had any luck?
Counting the cloud shot I have, 0.3 for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of attempts. Worst percentage here, probably. But I instead grew up and just became obsessed with the aurora after the 2003 Halloween storms, and I also then went into physics for school and really just started falling in love with the sky in general. So I really wanted to study about, since I can't see the aurora, what causes the aurora, what kind of things can I look at and get to understand to help other people see the aurora. So most of my goals have been get on the forums, let people know, learn more stuff myself, do what I can to help out since I'm pretty much useless down here.
Hello. That's fine. Hello. So, I was like, what? Hello. So I'm Marybeth. I'm a spontaneous panelist today. And I got into Aurora chasing by mistake a couple of years ago. And I really love it. And the one thing, I just like to know how things work, so that's kind of how I got more obsessed about trying to figure it out, even though, let's be honest, we have a lot of work to do to actually figure this stuff out. But if it means anything, Tamitha was here last year. I'm actually taking her SWEN classes now. So starting to get a better understanding for this kind of stuff. So, yeah. Okay.
My name's Vince. I live in Fairbanks now, so I'm kind of spoiled. I get Aurora basically every single night. But I used to live... Yeah, but I am from the Twin Cities, so I empathize with all of you, okay? So I have definitely had to work for the Auroras. Now I can just kind of see it from the bathroom window and say, okay, yeah, thanks. But I would say at this point, you know, I'm going to school for my PhD, studying the Aurora, and I've realized how little the field really knows about what's going on. So I always emphasize that people use the ground truth data like webcams, Facebook groups, Instagram, social media, or like Aurorasaurus for knowing when the Aurora's out, because it takes all the question marks out of what the data really means. So that's my advice, but we can get into that later.
Yeah, I'm Alan, and I introduced myself yesterday's panel, and you'll hear more from me tonight, whether you want to or not. And kind of like Vince, although I'm not up underneath the Aurora Oval, but from southern Alberta, where a few of us are from here. We invaded you last night. My Aurora forecasting tip is I step outside. Because I'm out in the country and I just go out and, yeah, I look at some numbers, and we'll get into that. What numbers do I kind of look at? What things do I look at? But essentially, you know, as we all know, you take it with a grain of salt in terms of is it going to materialize or not. I just step outside and look, oh yeah, there's Aurora. Oh, there goes my deep sky photography for tonight. Darn it. And change plans. So that's my Aurora forecasting, and I'm lucky enough to do that. So, but I know most of you living in the big cities, you want to know exactly when the numbers to look at. So exactly when do I know to drive, get in the car and drive out, and is it worthwhile? And you know, there's never any guarantees. So we'll try to sort out what the best numbers are, I guess.
All right, sounds good. Let's hear it for our panelists. Good news and bad news for all of you. The good news is that the next brightest aurora will be on September 5th, 2024 at 3:12 a.m. in the morning Eastern Time. The bad news is that's not true at all. That's not true.
What happens is that the electrons come raining down and they lose all their energy at that level. That's totally absorbed by the oxygen atoms, and the oxygen can't radiate anymore, so you get this very sharp bottom border to the aurora. This one was over Lake Superior this past April, and you can see that beautiful green, and I agree with...
Oh, Ilio! It's the pupper celebrity!
I know! It's the new! You're so spunky.
I'm here with Vincent. He is one of the speakers here at the Aurora Summit 2023. And Vincent, go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Sure. So my name is Vincent Ledvina. I'm a first-year grad student at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, studying the Aurora, going for my PhD. I've been into Aurora since I was 4 years old and saw the Halloween storms of '03. Been a photographer for 7 or 8 years, and this Aurora Summit, this is my second time here. I'm presenting on time-lapse photography and also how to tell when the aurora is out. So going through all the different data sources, the science, the physics, all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm happy to be here. This is one of my favorite times of the year. What I look forward to all year is going to the Aurora Summit. It's great to see all the passionate folks here and hear all the cool stories. And yeah, it's just a great time.
Awesome. Feel free to share your social medias with us too.
Yeah, it's just my first and last name, Vincent Ledvina. It's my @ on basically everything. And then my website is theauroraguy.com. And if you want the full story on the Aurora Guy name, it's pretty funny. I didn't give that to myself, so yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks so much. All right. So this is Marybeth here on the right. Marybeth, she is with Shelby Diamond Star Photography. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with chasing the Aurora?
Hello. So my Aurora experience started kind of by mistake. In 2018, I saw it in the rearview mirror of a car, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. So then I went off the deep end and down many, many rabbit holes, and now I'm taking classes and forecasting it. And yeah, it's just one big obsession now, but it's great. You can think of many other things to be obsessed with that's worse.
I definitely agree. And this is Jeanine here. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as well?
I grew up in a small town in Saskatchewan in Canada, so I've seen the Northern Lights my entire life. But about 8 years ago, I decided I wanted to capture it and capture what I was seeing. So that's actually how I got into photography. I knew nothing about photography until I started chasing the Northern Lights and teaching myself how to do it.
Awesome. And would you like to share some of your social medias?
On Instagram, Jeanine Holowatuik, and my Facebook is Northern Escape Photography. That's my photography business.
Perfect. And do you have anything else that you go by, or is that it?
That's it. Shelby Diamond Star, or Shelby Diamond Star Photography on Facebook. So.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Marc with Marc Rassel Photography. Can you kind of tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got started with night photography?
Yeah, so night photography, actually I kind of have to trace it all back to one of my first jobs out of college. I was working in a big box retailer, working as creative director there. And the photographer that we had that did all the product just quit one day. So someone had to do it. That someone was me, jumped into that. I always kind of had an interest in photography, but getting forced into that role kind of really made it happen. And interestingly, what that really proved to me is I didn't like product photography at all in the long run. And so, long story short, it just kind of evolved into a perfect way for me to bring art into other passions. And I've got one of those brains where it's like art and science are equally split, and that is photography to me, right? So the progress went from that to landscape while I was out hiking, doing a bunch of things, and then just kind of that first time you go to shoot a Milky Way image and you see that on the back of the LCD screen, and you're just like, damn, this is what I want to do, right? And it just ballooned from there. I kept pursuing that. And then fast forward to now, and that's, my primary thing is doing that and leading workshops and education and chasing the Aurora. That's why we're here. And yeah, I love it. Wouldn't trade it for the world.
Awesome. Feel free to share some of your social medias, websites, stuff you got going on.
Yeah, social media is Marc Rassel Photo on Instagram. That's the primary one. Website is just marcrasselphoto.com. Right now, the workshops that I have available are booked up for this coming winter. I'll get more out there for the coming summer and fall. So if you're interested in that, hit me up and see what we got coming up.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, man.
My name is Bob King. I live in Duluth, Minnesota. I'm an amateur astronomer, and I've been in love with the sky, I guess you could say, since I was like 10 years old. I took an interest in it. And I especially enjoy the Northern Lights. I like chasing the Northern Lights, and especially sharing when they're going to happen with other people so that we get as many people out there as possible. As far as my career, I worked as first as a photographer at the Duluth News Tribune for many years, and then I became the photo editor there. And I remained the photo editor until I retired about 5 years ago. And since that time, it's really nice not having any constraints on my hours in retirement, so I can stay up as late as I need to, and I can get up in the morning when I feel like it. And that's an awfully good position to be in for Northern Lights because they can occur at any time. So that's a little bit about myself.
Awesome. And I hear you're an author as well. Would you tell us a little bit about some of your work?
Yes, I started back in the ancient days. The newspaper wanted to have people put something up on the web, so I suggested a blog about astronomy. And the editor said, go for it. And I started that in 2008, and I've been writing it ever since. And during that time, getting that writing out there, I was able to get some other writing jobs based on that. And I used to write for Universe Today for their website. And then Sky and Telescope asked me to write for them, and so I continued to do that since 2014. I've been blogging for them, and now I also write for the magazine. I do the celestial calendar page each month where I highlight special events in the nighttime sky. So I kind of I still do photography, but it really is northern lights, night sky photography rather than people and sports photography. And then I write, so part-time photographer, part-time writer.
Awesome, thank you. And this is Christian here. Christian, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So yeah, my name's Christian Harris. I live over in Ohio, have for most of my life, except for 4 years where I lived in Colorado. Just have a passion in general for understanding the universe that led me into astrophysics at The Ohio State University. That then led into the interest in photography, which took off into astrophotography and just knowing the night sky in general. Seeing the aurora, though, when I was a kid, it led to another passion in discovering how to see the aurora more often. Being at such a low latitude, the opportunities were very small. So instead, I learned the data and how to understand what's coming in that we have as far as data is concerned and what events then would lead to the aurora, so I could help other people discover it instead. And finally, in 2019, when I went up to Alaska for my third time, I had a good aurora show, and I've been able to see it regularly since then in Alaska every year.
Awesome. And you have a Facebook page that you operate about like the aurora and space weather and stuff. Can you tell us about that?
Correct. So I started Space Weather Trackers back in 2012. Initially, it was made as an attempt to correct any sort of misunderstandings for other people and to allow then the events that were occurring to be understood by everyone else so that they could be prepared for aurora. Ultimately, it took off as just an opportunity to say a few things about what was going on, but it started taking off as an educational page instead, where I really break down and analyze the events that occurred, and that way people just had a better understanding. Now I seem to be using it more to fight sensationalism, so if there's any sort of articles I think that may come out or ones that have come out about space weather events, I try to correct that and make sure people know that it's not what it seems.
Yeah, the media sure likes to hype stuff up.
Yeah, they have to. It's the only way to get it in.
And would you like to tell us about some of your social medias?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have an Instagram as well, AstroLunaticX. That's where I do all my astrophotography. I do a lot of landscape, and I still have my aurora shots on there. And then a lot of astro as well from the past. Generally, I don't do much in Ohio now with it being so light polluted, but I do have quite a bit that I still haven't posted from the Colorado days.
Awesome. I look forward to seeing that. I was in Colorado, and it is stunning. And
there's no other place to go.
Seriously, it's so good. Bob, do you have anything? Anything else? Do you have any place where people can help follow you, or?
Yeah, I guess I'm on Instagram as well, but I primarily post on Facebook.
Okay.
And then I still write for the News Tribune, so my blog is posted there all the time. And people can go to the Sky and Telescope website, which is skyandtelescope.com, and look up any of the columns that I've written. And of course, I've snuck in a few columns about the Northern Lights over the years. And I can save this for later if you like, but one of the things I'm learning, and this is where you are really playing an important role.
Love that.
Is, Christian, is that when I ask people, what do you want to know about the Northern Lights? Because I'm writing a book about them right now. And what do I hear? They want to hear the science. They're at that level where they want to go deeper than, they want to photograph it, but it's so confusing to people exactly what's happening because so many things are happening simultaneously. They want the science. So that's what you're doing.
Yeah, Christian's doing great. Well, thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you much.
All right, so this is CK. He is one of the speakers here at the Aurora Summit. CK, can you tell me a little bit about your experience with night photography and the Aurora?
Sure. I got into night photography. Just love the Milky Way, so that's how I got started into astrophotography. Aurora photography has always been on my bucket list as well, and I'm one of the moderators at Alberta Aurora Chasers. I met a bunch of folks in that group who taught me really how to use a camera, how to learn the data about the aurora, and yeah, the very first time I saw the aurora, it's a very mesmerizing experience, and it puts you in a completely different dimension, and it's just a beautiful light show of nature to watch, and it's kind of hooked on to me. And I also got the opportunity to be a part of citizen science with NASA in discovering a different kind of aurora called Steve, which is a great story. And that's how I got into aurora, and it's been great chasing so far.
Awesome, thanks man. Thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me here.
This is Alan Dyer. He was our keynote speaker, and he just did a little speech on not only the aurora, but also on kind of the solar eclipse that's coming up here on April. So Alan, please introduce yourself.
Well, again, thank you very much. It was such a pleasure to come here to the Aurora Summit. I am from Calgary, or near Calgary, in southern Alberta, Canada, where I've been for 30-odd years now, doing aurora photography, nightscape photography, and all kinds of astrophotography. But certainly aurora photography caught the attention of the organizers of the Aurora Summit and invited me to speak this year, and I was very pleased to do so. A chance to meet so many people that I know of and you know, met online or whatever, and meet them in person. It's been great. And so I spoke about the Northern Lights, but also Melissa and the organizers said, but elsewhere, talk about other things as well, because we have lots of other talks about the Northern Lights. And so I talked about the eclipse coming up as well. And that's the big event next year, April 8th, 2024, is the total eclipse of the sun. And anybody that has enough interest in the aurora or traveling anywhere to see the Northern Lights ought to go to see the total eclipse of the sun, because a big display of Northern Lights and the total eclipse of the sun is, I consider, and many considered, really the two most exciting things you can see in the sky. And so add that to your bucket list and check it off your bucket list next year, April 8th, wherever you have to travel along the path, and you have to be in that path of totality to see the total eclipse and see the main effect. And so it's worth making the effort to travel, because the next one in North America is not for decades after that.
Absolutely. Your video was of the one in 2017. I think the one that you were showing was stunning, and it absolutely got me more excited than I ever thought I would be, because to be honest, I was actually probably going to brush it off. But there's no way I'm going to do that now. But thank you so much for sitting down with me and coming to the Aurora Summit.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right, I am here with Mike and Mike Shaw Photography. So he is one of the founders of the Aurora Summit. Mike, if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and kind of your experience with the Aurora.
Thanks, Justin. It's a real pleasure to be here. As you said, my name is Mike. I'm a night photography teacher and one of the founders of the Aurora Summit here in Red Cliff, Wisconsin. And my experience with the Aurora is probably like everyone else's. It's a life-changing experience when you see it for the first time and you look up and you feel the energy coming down from the sky, and you just feel like something powerful is happening that affects you. And if you know, you know, but if you don't know, give it a shot. I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
Absolutely, and I understand you're also an author as well.
That's right, a brand new book here, The Beginner's Guide to Astrophotography. And what's neat about this book is that it covers both deep sky and landscape astrophotography. The gear, the astronomy, you know, how to plan for it, how to design your image, how to plan for it, and then how to post-process and edit, we've been up all night, your images to trophies.
I definitely understand that 3 a.m. lack of sleep brain from chasing all the, you know, hopefully clear nights that we've unfortunately just haven't had here. But well, thanks for this little interview here. We really appreciate it, Mike. And do you have any social media that people can follow you at?
Definitely. Best find me on Instagram at Mike Shaw Photography, at Mike Shaw Photography Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. So this is Melissa. She is one of the founders of the Aurora Summit Conference. Melissa, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I've been chasing the Aurora for over 10 years, and I founded the group, the Michigan Aurora Chasers, which is quickly growing in size. And I've been involved in the community in different types of leadership roles and chasing myself for a long time.
Awesome. How long have you been chasing again?
11 years now. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Tell me about your first experience.
So when I first started chasing Aurora, I really had to do it on purpose. It wasn't one of those things where I saw it by accident. And I learned as much as I could about the forecasting and the data and what to look for in the night sky. I had 5 failed attempts. I was living in Minnesota at the time. And finally, my first successful chase was October 1st to 2nd of 2013, when I saw the Northern Lights just outside of Taylor Falls, Minnesota.
Awesome. And I understand that you are also an author?
Yep. I recently wrote the book. It's a beginner's guide called Below the 45th Parallel, the beginner's guide to chasing the aurora in the Great Lakes region. And it shares a lot of my advice from over the years for chasing that aurora, how to find it at lower latitudes. It could be any parallel, really. We just want to help you find the northern lights.
That's fantastic. And do you have any social media where people can follow you at?
Absolutely. I am very active on social media, so I am at MF Kaelin, that's MFKAELIN. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Kaelin Art, and my website is kaelinart.com. And if he's in the shot, Elio the Spunky Pup is also on Instagram at Elio the Spunky Pup.
Perfect. Thank you so much. This has been an absolutely wonderful experience at the 6th annual Aurora Summit in Red Cliff, Wisconsin for the Aurora Summit 23. Just amazing people here, amazing vendors, guests, just everybody is so kind. For this event just brings us together for our love of the aurora, and now it is time to leave the conference. But thankfully we are under some crazy storming conditions right now. We do have a long way until darkness, and I'm gonna brave some cold conditions and drive very far away in hopes of clear skies. So special shout out to Mike Shaw Photography. I got his book right here, The Beginner's Guide to Astrophotography. And I'm sure there are definitely some tips and tricks I can pick up to both increase the quality of my photography and help me also teach other people as well, because knowledge is power, of what I like to say. So thank you so much for checking out the video, and I will see you in the next one.